Welcome everybody to FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. This is the Fighting Irish Daily Blitz, and I'm your host, Rob Fedoff, also known as RPT. You can find me on X at PFedoff. This is episode 124, but first things first, head over to our website at fanstreamsports.com for all additional podcast information. If you have an Apple device or an Android device, please feel free to download the FanStream Sports app and then head over to our Facebook page. Like that page, additional content out there as well. Please feel free to share that with your friends and family. Two different subjects today for this podcast. One I'm going to be very cheerful and happy about. The other, pretty pissed off, but we'll get to that subject later. The first subject, though, today was the first day that Notre Dame recruits could sign for the 2024 recruiting class. And right now we're in the top 10. I always say as long as we get in the top 10, I feel pretty good, whether we have so many 4 stars or 3 stars. The goal is to, whatever you have at this moment, is to develop those kids to the best of their ability, athletically, academically, for them to have a great career. Because they said if you go to Notre Dame, stay there for 4 years, you're set for the next 40 in your career. I'm not going to get too much into the weeds here, but just a high-level overview. We're currently ranked 8th in the class, so top 10. But for the other so-called powerhouses, Georgia is 1, Alabama 2, no surprise there. That seems to be the case about every year. Texas is 3, Miami of Florida is 4, Oregon 5, Ohio State is 6. This one surprised me. Auburn is 7, Notre Dame 8, Oklahoma 9, Florida State 10. We had 1 5-star, 17 4-stars, and 11 3-star recruits signing today. And just some of the more well-known recruits that signed. CJ Carr, you've heard that name now the past year. I think he committed over a year and a half ago, maybe, but the very talented quarterback out of Saline, Michigan. His grandfather is Lloyd Carr, who coached Michigan to their last football title back in 1997. We're being told he's the future for Notre Dame, especially at the quarterback position. Cam Williams is our 5-star recruit out of Illinois, wide receiver, great wide receiver there. Our bigger defensive signee was Kingston Valamu Asa. I think I'm pronouncing that right. They call him KBA. But he, to me, looking at the film, more of an athletic Manti Te'o linebacker. Bryce Young, his dad is Bryant Young, who was on the 1993 team. To me, the last team that really had a chance to win a national title. His dad was a great player for the San Francisco 49ers and is a Hall of Famer. And his son is a defensive lineman like him. One of the big offensive lineman signees was Gearby Lambert. And then a name you're probably going to recognize, at least the last name, Kennedy Urlacher. His dad is Brian Urlacher, who played for the Bears, also a Hall of Famer, but he'll be playing safety probably at Notre Dame. And they also listed the transfers at Notre Dame. And I wanted to make that note because we had that mass wide receiver exodus. I think we lost 5 wide receivers about 3 weeks ago, but we've made up for that in the recruiting trail with incoming freshmen and also transfers from other schools. Mitch Jeter, he's not a wide receiver, but he'll be the new place kicker. He's from the University of South Carolina. Duke, we had 2 people. Obviously, Riley Leonard, the quarterback for next year, with an RJ Oben, defensive lineman. They said if you think of Javonte Jean-Baptiste, who we ended up getting from Ohio State last year as a graduate transfer, he was a pleasant surprise. Great defensive lineman this year for Notre Dame, but they said RJ Oben, who we're getting from Duke, is a carbon copy of Javonte Jean-Baptiste, which is a good sign. And here's the 2 big wide receiver signings. Bo Collins from Clemson, and then Chris Mitchell from Florida International, or FIU. And then Jordan Clark, defensive back. His dad is Ryan Clark. You probably know that name. He's an ESPN analyst for the NFL, and then he played for the Steelers when they last won their Super Bowl back in 2008. So it's a great, we're in the top 10, currently 8. And if I have any more news about recruiting, I'll let you know. But I just want to give a high-level overview. Now, to me, for more of the main subjects here, Notre Dame men's basketball lost by 20 points last night at home to the Citadel. No disrespect to the Citadel. Those guys are defending our country. Their easiest part of the day is probably playing basketball because they get up at the break of dawn to go to training, and then they go to class, then more training, you name it. That's the easiest part of their day, playing sports. But we have no business losing to Citadel, even though this is a total rebuild year. I told you before, this is a complete rebuild. We lost 98% of our team. The 2% that is still left over from last year, no disrespect to these 2 individuals, but Matt Zona and Tony Sanders, they barely make a dent when they play. And it's just bluntly honest with you, hardly any scoring, hardly any sort of production. But I thought at least they would have some leadership, and maybe there still is some leadership with them. But from what I saw last night, as I said earlier this year, I knew we were going to have a losing season. I said at best 10-20, but at least I thought of those 20 losses that I predicted, we would give our best effort for those losses. And those teams that would beat us, they would have to earn it. And I always say a team could be more talented than you, but at least make sure you outwork them. Because at the end of the day, the more you outwork a team, some of the times the breaks are going to go for you. And by you outworking that team, even though they're a better team than you, you may have some upsets here and there. But the case last night, except for one player, Jarek Kaznesny, who busted his ass last night, and Coach Shrewsbury said that too. The rest, because Marcus Burton are McDonald's All-American, Mr. Basketball Indiana. I give him credit for staying at Notre Dame because once Mike Bray retired, and then, you know, he's in the NBA right now, coaching with the Hawks. He stayed at Notre Dame. He honored his commitment, and he was playing great prior to last night. And he just didn't look like he wanted to be there. And I don't know if the team with Christmas coming up, because I know playing basketball in the past, I'm way back because that was probably over 30 years ago. Once you got into that Christmas time, you kind of want to just go on Christmas vacation for a little bit and then come back to the first of the year to play your games. And sometimes you'd have one or two games during the Christmas season. And a lot of times you just don't want to play. And I still think maybe that was part of the reason last night. But once Coach Shrewsbury was at his press conference, he said, no, it's unacceptable. And to me, it's unacceptable too, because I've seen some bad Notre Dame performances, but at least there was some effort. This effort last night was just unacceptable. I can't say it enough. I want to get into, before I get into the main thing I want to show you everybody, last night, if you look at one time, and I know with a total rebuild, your defense is probably going to be more, probably more successful early on. Offense is going to take some time, and that's been the case this year. We were playing with full effort. Defensively, we were okay, but offensively, we just had these stretches with just missing shots left and right. But last night, I think the announcer said at one time we missed 17 shots in a row from the three-point line, and you just can't have that. And I know that will come in time, but the effort, I can't say enough, was just not there. But as I mentioned earlier, Jarek Kaznesny, he did have 18 points. Marcus Burton had 13, but Jarek Kaznesny was only 7 of 18 from the field. Excuse me. It got so bad with the effort that Coach Shrewsbury ended up he kept JR in, but he put 4 walk-ons in. And I think right now we got about 6 or 7 walk-ons. We had to get walk-ons just to have practice this year because we lost so many players from last year, even with some transfers and the one recruit coming in and Marcus Burton. But he said, I don't care. They're hungrier than my current so-called stars, if you want to call them stars. But it was just so unacceptable. Here's the thing, too. One of Citadel's players, Elijah Morgan, he was a walk-on for Notre Dame the last 3 years prior to this year. And he graduated from Notre Dame early. Really smart kid. But he knew, too, with all the changes coming with Coach Shrewsbury coming in at the end of last year, that he was probably not going to play at all this year. So he went to the Citadel. Great kid, very smart kid. And he had 19 points last night. That's a career high for him. And nothing against him or the Citadel. You cannot have Elijah Morgan dominating your team, even though you're a rebuild this year. That is just totally unacceptable. What else before I want to just make sure before I get into the next subject here, because I know it's really rough right now. And I'm just thinking, even during last night, I'm like, are we ever going to get back to where we were, those teams in 2015 and 2016 that went to the Elite Eight? And even the 2018 team probably would have competed for a Elite Eight or Final Four, but then Bonzie Colson got hurt. We had a lot of injuries that year. It was Bonzie's senior season. But having said that, I'm just like, is this it? But then Coach Shrewsbury had a press conference, And I have more faith in this guy than I ever did. I even have more confidence in him. And if I was a player, I would walk through a wall for him. He's like, this is unacceptable. And I'm going to let you guys listen to it right now. I asked him if we could do this. I thought there would be copyrights, but no. So instead of listening for me for another 5 minutes, it's only 5 minutes, but I really want you guys to, or the audience, I should say, listen to this too. I hope you're hearing what I'm hearing, that Coach Shrewsbury is going to let this shit happen again. Just unacceptable. And if you're not going to want to bust your ass every day in practice and during a game and give 100% effort, then get out. He'll get with the compliance department, and he says this in the press conference, to let you transfer, because we got to set the culture here. And he takes full responsibility for what happened last night. And I just love it about him. And I can't say enough. I have more confidence in Coach Shrewsbury, and that he will eventually get this program turned around. It's just going to take some time.
First of all, I apologize to anybody that paid money to come watch that effort from that team. The one thing is they at least got to watch one team play hard. I thought Citadel played connected. I thought they played hard. I thought they played with a purpose. And I thought our team was poor in that area. That starts with me. Number one, it starts with me. And I got to find a way to get these guys ready to go.
You score 6 in a row to start the second half, and it looked like everything was relatively okay. How does it turn the way it turned after that?
This game was over before we even got here. We have no energy to shoot around. We didn't have any energy at practice. That's who this team has been. But you have an opportunity, right? You try and learn from whatever the last game was, right? So you end the first half, you end the second half, and we talk about how we finished. But one play kind of changes everything, right? And we have the ball, we're up. I think we're up 3, and we run a play. Tay rolls, catches it, and then turns it over. When he's at the rim and Keba's at the rim open, we turn it over. They go down and get fouled and get free throws. Next possession, Marcus comes down and turns it over. They go down, get fouled, and get free throws, get points. There's the game. The game flips right there with turnovers like that. And then our emotional intelligence is not very good. We don't handle failure well at all. When failure happens, we collapse, right? So that's on me as a coach. I got to find a way for us to be better. Hopefully I can find a way for us to not fail.
What can you do? It's been like this all year.
It starts with me. I got to find a new way to motivate them then, because whatever's happening or whatever's going right now is not working. So I got to change my approach then.
What kind of message does it send benching Kevin, Tay, Brady late in the second half?
I should have benched them earlier.
Is this the biggest disappointment so far in your tenure here?
Yes. I hate every loss, but to not come out and compete, man, that don't sit well with me, ever. So I say I apologize to the fans, right? My message for the game was this is the Christmas season. And you see a lot of people mail it in early before Christmas, and people come in here and get beat. And that's maybe I was forecasting what was going to happen, but they don't believe what I say.
Braden is your 3-point specialist. But
No, he's not. He's shooting 20-something% from 3.
Okay, so how do you get the best out of him after performance?
He's got to play better. He's got to guard some people. He's got to have some toughness. Or he's going to be sitting next to me, him and Tay, and Keba, the same way. They're playing with zero effort right now.
JR had a good first half. How do you, 16 points in the first half, how do you kind of keep someone engaged like that when they're giving you some offense and you're having trouble finding it anywhere else?
JR's doing really good stuff. He's playing really hard, right? He's got to figure out, he's got to take good shots all the time, right? And so he can be more efficient, right? Yeah, he was forcing it late because we were down big and he was trying to make stuff happen, but he's 7 for 18 points, right? That's what our defense is trying to do to other people, but that's not on him, right? Everybody else has started sitting on the sideline, and he's playing with 4 walk-ons. But I appreciate his effort. He's coming every single day and competing and fighting, and that's all you can ask for from him.
Do you go back to Ross tonight and work with them, or just let them?
No, we can't. Rules don't allow us to not do it on a game day. We'll get back in here early tomorrow. We're going to spend some time in here practicing. I don't care about this game on Friday. I can tell you that right now. This is about our team getting better. But this is about our team finding some kind of focus, having some kind of competitive balance. It doesn't matter who you play. Everybody can beat you. And these dudes, like, they get up in the morning and they march. And they got some toughness to them. And we don't have toughness. And we wilted right away. But that, again, that starts with me. I got to change my approach. So we'll have a different approach. And we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen on Friday. But if people don't compete, then you're going to see more walk-ons a lot more earlier than this. Because we're building a culture. And that ain't it. That is not the culture we're trying to build. So a message needs to be sent to some of these guys that, like, if you don't play hard, then you can sit and rot over there on the bench. And I'll find a way. I'll go and talk to the people in compliance. I will help you transfer. Because this culture is getting built the right way. And if you ain't a part of it, you're out. And I don't care.
You know that, but the fact that they don't know that, I mean, how difficult is that to try to get them to understand how important everything is?
That's on me. Message isn't getting across the right way. So I got to be better. I got to be better. I'll be better. I'll be better. And I'll get the message sent across better.
So as you can see, I was not pulling your chain there. He's pretty pissed off. I'm pretty pissed off. I mean, heck, to watch that last night, I could have been watching reruns of Madlock again. I told you this before. I fell in love with Madlock TV show again during COVID, and getting into Mama's Family now too. I could have been watching classic TV instead of watching that pathetic display last night. And he said too, I'm not worried about Friday. And just, yeah, we play Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the ACC network against Marist. He's like, I could care less about Marist. I got to get these kids playing for me again. I got to get them focused again. I know that term is always used, but whatever I'm doing right now is not getting to them. And if you don't want to play for me, you can sit the pine. If you don't like to sit the pine with me, let's just transfer. And he was even calling out his own son who plays on the team, who I was kind of a little leery about father and son coaching or mother and daughter, whether it's Little League Baseball or junior high or high school. That's one thing. That's sort of inevitable sometimes. But in the college game or the pro game, the only time I've really seen that work well, Syracuse with the Boeheim brothers and Coach Jim Boeheim, his sons. But for every Boeheim son-father combination, you always have a Tubby Smith-Saul Smith. Remember in the early 2000s, Tubby Smith, a decent coach at Kentucky, for a couple years, he did win a national title, but he had his son, I think his name was Saul Smith, just should not have been playing Division I basketball. Whether his son, I think his name's Brandon Shrewsbury, he's a decent three-point shooter at times, but as you saw in that press conference, he said, well, he's not good at all. He's horrible right now. He's like 25%. And he needs to do more than just shoot the ball. And he was calling out his players in a good way. I always think you shouldn't, how can I say this? There's a certain way to go about calling out your players. You just don't want to belittle them, but at the same time, you got to hold them accountable as well. And that's what I thought he did with this press conference. But I can't say enough. I hope you guys really thought the same as what I was thinking during that press conference, but I'm totally behind Coach Shrewsbury even more after listening to that. So thank you so much for joining me for episode 124. And as always, go Irish.